everyone. Welcome to Sports Weekly, your one-stop shop for all things sports. Exciting stories coming out from all around the world of sports, from boxing to taekwondo to football. Exciting news coming out from all around the world of sports. I'm not here alone to discuss this. I have with me my big oga, we've been doing this together, Mr. Jide Olaniran. Welcome on the show today.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel, for having me.
Glad to have him in the studio today. Like I said, great news coming out from all around the world of sports, and we want you out there to also participate. This is not about us. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to get your feedback. We'd like to, if you watch our videos, we'd like for you to drop a comment, and let's share this moment together. If you'd like to join us, well, Facebook, ASEN TV, ASEN TV. And then you can also watch our videos on YouTube like this, ASEN TV TV. There are great stories coming out from all around the world of sports, but some are good stories, some not so good. I don't know, should we start from the not so good stories so that we can end on a good note today? Because, last week we had the National Sports Federation's elections.
Okay.
And yes, there were some newcomers into, the scene. Some people retained, their sports, but there were, of course, a lot of, rancors here and there. It didn't go too well. And just to, maybe to prove that our house isn't really in order, the kind of stories that we want to discuss today just points to the fact that maybe we're still not getting sports right in Nigeria, and maybe also, by extension, Africa. Let's start from boxing, where we hear that in the AIBA World Boxing Championship coming up in Germany, it's going to be starting in August till about September this year. And I can tell you for a fact that Nigeria would not be represented in this tournament.
Well, it's quite unfortunate, and even before they traveled for the African Championship, which
happens to be the qualifier.
Yes. There were stories, conflicting stories coming. We even heard that some of the boxers that were sponsored by the Nigerian Army, because I know for a fact that the Nigerian Army boxing team is a very strong team. They are well coordinated, and in terms of support, they are getting the right support, because it dates back to the fact that the president of the Nigerian Amateur Boxing Federation, who happens to be a former Army officer, is in fact good news for them, because the man has been returned again as the president of that federation. Kenneth Minima, he's a general in the Army. Maybe that's why I think during his time he was able to put things together, in terms of welfare, trying to motivate people in the military to be part of the boxing team. And I remember that at one event, and that happens to be the only events they've held so far that I know of. That I met with the coordinator of their boxing or sports, and the man is also a military man who told me how there is so much motivation, there is so much support from the leadership of the Nigerian Army to make sure that the boxing team is doing very well. So I'm not surprised that it is the group of boxers that went to represent Nigeria are majorly from the from the Nigerian military. So now that they have a new board in place, good enough, there is continuity. There is a man who has been in charge in the last 4 years, has been returned, and for the reason, there must be a reason why the stakeholders desire to return him. So that means that they must make sure that boxing, which used to be a big sport in the country, we used to be a medal-winning sports for Nigeria, especially at the global level, should be returned to where it used to be. Of course, it should be back at the pinnacle where we operate for in the good old days. Yeah,
Nigerian boxing should be back at the pinnacle. So going into football now, and interesting news coming out from the world of football. I'd like for us to start, from the local scene, talking about the Copa Coca-Cola Under 15 football tournament. I can tell you that, there's been over 2 months of non-stop action from all around different stadiums in all over Nigeria for this tournament. About 7,000 schools participated. Eventually 8 schools made it into the national finals, and it all came down to Owerri versus Osun, for the final that took place just this past week. So we all know that Osun eventually took the day, winning 1-0, and so Osun has been crowned the 2017 Copa Coca-Cola champions. But really, the talking point here today, what I really want to get your feedback on is, what do you think? There at the end of this tournament, there's 22 million naira worth of scholarships, for all of these participants.
For about 66 players, yeah.
66 players, fantastic. 2.2 million worth of prize money, and a trip to Johannesburg in South Africa for all of the most valuable players, the best goalkeeper and all of that. And also a school pitch makeover. Is this what we've always been clamoring for when we talk about sports development from the grassroots?
Yes, I think so. This is more like it. This is what is expected, even more. And they've been able to develop this particular tournament. It wasn't as elaborate as we saw when they first started, but you could see that they knew where they were going, and which means that they kept increasing in terms of innovation, in terms of add-ups, things that they were doing, and
in terms of sponsorship
and all that things they were adding. And I must give it to them. This is a championship that at least it's been able to had a lot of talents to the factory line of developing Nigerian football talents. Those I know, there are 2 players that comes to mind when you talk about Copa Coca-Cola. There is Ndidi Wilfred, who is a current player in the national team. He plays for Leicester City. And of course, there is Idowu Olajide, who was part of that particular squad that won in Qatar. When the Under-17 championship was hosted. And of course, he graduated with the team 2 years after to the Under-20. I know he moved to the United States. I don't know where exactly he is right now, but that's another player. He used to be a libero. Good enough. He plays in front of the defense line. Number 4, just like Ndidi plays too.
So fantastic news coming out from the Copa Coca-Cola Under-15 football competition, and congratulations to Progressive Comprehensive High School in Osun for winning that one. We hope to see, this competition becoming, I think it already is, a birthplace for exciting young talents coming out from the world of football. All right, moving forward, let's talk the FIFA Confederations Cup. We're getting into the semi-finals now, where we have the likes of
Portugal, Germany, and Chile.
And Germany. But this is ASEN TV, Africa Sports and Entertainment TV. So our focus is really on, Africa's sports, really. So we would like to concentrate on Cameroon, who happen to be Africa's sole representative at the...
It's the Festival of Champions, don't forget. So,
And
Cameroon
is
got their tickets.
I want to say local champion, they are not local champion, they are
African champion, yes. So
fantastic. But based on results, so in their last match, Cameroon lost to Germany 3-1. They also lost to Chile 2-0, and they managed to draw 1-1 with Australia. I remember even before the tournament, they had lost to, which country was that? They beat them, I think 4-0.
I think they played a friendly, exactly, and what the time to, when they said they lost 4-0. What the time to, anyway, friendly, that doesn't really,
well, we thought
it's
so
just
then.
a friendly game.
We thought so then, but if you now still enter into the tournament proper, and you're still losing 2-0.
It's just a way for me. I think it's also, and of course, you look sincerely, Emmanuel, you need to look at the opposition, really. You can't take it away from the opposition they've had.
What sort of opposition? Australia?
Yes, Australia. Don't forget that even Chile struggled against Australia. So that's it.
I would say Chile was really
struggled
like
against
top competition.
Yes.
Germany, they play. Germany came with their under-21 squad.
It was, you can't say they are the under-21 squad. They are players who, of course, you can't compare the level of football development
By 2018 in Russia, I can guarantee you that most of the players
that Germany, of course, will not be. Yeah, that's it. It is time to rest.
We can agree that they did not play.
And don't forget,
the German.
Cameroon also will not remain on this level too before 2018. If that is if they qualify. They went to, yeah, that's the best player.
Exactly.
And of course, don't forget that the same Chile too. We're not likely to see changes in this Chile team. This is a team like that.
Yes,
and they also look at what happened to them. We look at what this Germans saw. For Germany, they are what we like to call it. They are operating out of the ordinary now.
Yeah.
Because of the factory line. You and I know what
this
they
is
have.
A test for the young ones to really
most of their players. Look at their league. Look at their players. Look at their top players. Look at where they are playing. Look at let's be sincere. Let's just be. Of course, let's spare. Let's just spare Cameroon for at least they've done their best.
I like how this is going. So I am definitely against Cameroon. You are for Cameroon. That's fine. But the question is, do you think that based on Cameroon's performance at this Confederations Cup, do you think that Cameroon being our representative, do you think Africa is ready to take on the world?
No.
It
is really, in terms of taking on the world, it's relative, because when you say taking on the world, whether you like it or not, Africans, there are teams from Africa will be at the World Cup. That is the global stage. That is the El Dorado of football.
Are we going
We're going to have 5 teams.
Are we going there to add to the
don't
numbers?
Forget, we will. Don't forget that every year or every tournament, we've had to show what Africa is made of.
Have we progressed?
The best we've heard is, let me say, the best we've heard is maybe got into the quarterfinals, and we've been able to, we might not have maybe got into semi-finals, but at least we've been able to justify the additions we've had in terms of we've grown. Don't forget we've grown from the years when we used to have just one representative to 2, 3. Now we're 5. So of course they're even talking more additions
there, and even defeating.
But when you talk about taking on the world, maybe you try and look at maybe winning. If you're talking about taking on the world, maybe you know. But I think winning right now.
Doing something.
But we've done. At least we've got into the quarterfinals.
Do you remember?
We got into the quarterfinals. So what else? Maybe
it's
just
we'll be looking World Cup that we had Croatia.
Yeah.
Made it to like 3rd or something. You know, that kind of breakout team is what I am talking about. So based on what Cameroon has done at the FIFA Confederations Cup, they would be facing Nigeria next in the FIFA qualifiers. Yeah. So based on their performance at the Confederations Cup, what do you think?
I think I wouldn't rely on whatever, you know. Don't forget that the player, I remember one of the things the coach said, as the manager said, that he's going to shop for his striker. That he noticed that their conversion rate is very abysmal. They've not been able to convert some of the chances that they had, and if they had converted, maybe if they had a good striker, maybe the story would be different. But I don't expect to judge with them by what, but it's good. It's shown what they have scored is like, what Nigeria needs to do. And I believe that the manager of the Super Eagles is also looking at the weakness of that side, of that team, to make sure that it works.
We now have a video analyst who had to go all the way to...
Well, that is, let's see whether that will translate into the required points. Let's see whether it will translate to the needed points.
Necessary?
Yeah, it's possible. It's necessary.
Well, that's something you can do from here. Why do we have to send someone to Russia to go and...
Well, modern football has gotten past.
I mean, I can check that. I can check all of their matches on YouTube today.
But I think there is another feeling. There is a kind of psychological feeling you get when you are there. There is, so that you know exactly. So most times is and for me, I think we won't judge. Like I said, I won't judge Cameroon by what the performance. I will expect them to give a fight. Don't forget that. They have nothing to lose right now because Nigeria is at the driver's seat, really. and
Oh, we
it's going to
just
be
need
two-legged
at least 4
encounter, maybe
points.
4 points from
Yeah,
this.
so maybe a
But
win and
they
a
are going
draw.
to give a fight. If there is anything that this team is known for, this Cameroon side, they didn't win don't forget, they didn't win the Nations Cup just because they were the best team in that championship.
Exactly.
They won
They
it
were very
because of the
resilient.
resilient, they were dogged, they were determined, and you could see that they put in everything to just, these are things that this is, the same goes for the Nigeria's 2013 national team that won the Nations.
Yeah,
A lot of
it
people didn't
wasn't
give it,
because
they
of
didn't start well,
flair
that's
or
all,
anything.
but that's it. So that's why I said, I won't rely, or I won't put my conclusion on what will come out, what will come out between the meeting and when the two sides meet. But I will say that Nigeria shouldn't take them. We shouldn't. It's even good that the last match, the South African game, shown Nigeria that things they can be shocked. They can be beaten, even exactly. They are beatable, and exactly so. I think that's what is going to work.
Fantastic today. There's been lots and loads of talking points. I hope you've also enjoyed, all of the information that we've had to share with you today. So Nigeria is the Super Eagles' next match will be against Cameroon, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. I don't know if they were indomitable at the FIFA Confederations Cup, but we do hope that they will be. They will not be indomitable by the time they are facing the Super Eagles. All right, that's it for today. I mean, we've been able to cover lots and loads of interesting sports stories coming around from all around the world of sports, from boxing to taekwondo and then to the beautiful round leather game of football. Don't forget, drop your comments. Let's know what you think about all of the talking points. I mean, join the conversation, whether on Twitter, on Facebook, and also once you watch our videos on YouTube, please drop a comment and let us know what you think. This has been Sports Weekly, your one-stop shop for all things sports. My name remains Emmanuel Odufejo, and I have with me my big boss, Mr. Jide Olaniro. Thank you, and God bless you.